Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, you're welcome as well. In today's video, we are going to be learning how to draft this beautiful wrap top. So if this is something you love to learn, kindly watch this video to the end. So I have my starting point here, and the length I'm using is 20 and half an inch is for the shoulder joining allowance, 19 inches is for my top length, and 1 inch is for the hemming allowance. So I'll go ahead and mark the line. So this is my shoulder line. I'm going to mark it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark out the armhole line of 7 inches, then my bust line of 9.5. And after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to determine my shoulder to shoulder measurement of 7 inches. I've done this a lot on my channel. So I'm just going to connect all of the points together. The next thing is to determine the neck width, which is 3 inches, and then come down from the shoulder line by 1 inch to create the shoulder slope, which I'm going to connect now. So at the armhole line, I'm going to determine the center line and then come out by half an inch. Then also mark out the quarter of my bust measurement plus seam allowance, and then connect my armhole curve. So the next thing is to determine the depth of the back neck, which is going to be 1 inch, and I'm going to connect it. So once that is done, I'm also going to mark out the measurement I have at the lower part there, and then add the sewing allowance to it and connect it together. So right now I'm going to be adding half an inch to my shoulder slope for joining, and if you want to add half an inch to the neck as well, you can add it if you want to add facing to your back neck, but I'll be using bias for mine, so there is no need of facing. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. So right now I'm going to use this pattern to cut the front out, and I'm folding the fabric towards the length of the fabric. The length of the fabric is 50 inches. Okay, remember I'm using 2 yards of fabric, but if I fold it towards the yardage, I won't have enough fabric for the wrap at the front, so I'm folding it towards the length of the fabric. So for the front wrap, for you to know how much you need at the front, all you need to do is to multiply your waist by 1.5. so whatever you have is going to be the measurement of each pieces at the front. You know, you're going to be needing 2 pieces at the front, so it's going to, for you to know how much you need, you're going to multiply your waist multiply by 1.5. okay, so right now I'm doing my own. So on one part here now, I have my waist multiplied by 1.5. okay, and the other side, okay, is also my waist multiplied by 1.5, so that it will be enough for me to, it will be enough to go around my waist and also tie it back, if you understand what I'm talking about. So just follow the shape I'm making right here now. So I'm just going to connect to my neckline. Okay, I'm going to connect to my neckline, and once I'm done, I'm going to be cutting it out just like I'm doing right now. So I'm just marking to be sure that I still have the length of my top intact. So you can see what I'm cutting right now. So for the lower part here, I'm still going to shaping it a little bit, okay, but if you want to leave just like this, you can leave it. All right, so I'm going to use these pieces now to cut out the back pattern, and this particular style, you don't need any dots around there. So after cutting, you should have something like this. All right, so this is what the front is going to look like. You can see this is the wrap. All right, so this is the wrap. This is the wrap that will go around your waist, and you're going to use it to tie the blouse. So this is what it looks like. And the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out my sleeve. The length of the sleeve I'm working with is 20 inches, but I want to have a band, so the upper one here is going to be 15 inches, so I added extra 3 inches to the length, so that's why I have 18 inches. Okay, but my band is going to be 5 inches. So for the wideness of this sleeve, you're going to use your round armhole, then plus extra allowance for gathers. My round armhole is 8 inches and I'm adding extra allowance for gathers. So what I'm going to do now is to come down by 3.5 inches to determine my slip cap, and then from there I'm going to connect to the 3.5 mark. So that's all about the sleeve. I'm just going to cut it out. So you should have something like this, and you're just going to gather it to your around armhole, and the lower part you gather it. So now I have my band. Remember, the length of my band is 5 inches, but I'm going to be cutting it on fold, which means I'll have 10 inches, and when I fold it I'll have 5 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it into 4 because I'll be cutting for the two sleeve together. Now I'm going to mark around my arm area here, which is where I'm going to be pleating to the band. So you need to measure the allowance you have up there, and that's what I get. So for the lower part, I'm also going to measure the lower part of my arm, and I'll measure it on the band. Half of it I'm going to measure it on the band plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and I'm going to connect it to the top there, and then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So once you are done, you should have something like this, and you're going to pleat the lower part to this place. So I've gone ahead to turn the back neck with a bias using the same fabric as the bias, and I also turn the front neck as well before joining the shoulder allowance. So as you can see, and the lower part of the front, which is what I have here, I also reduced it a little, and I'm going to be folding that end part, which is going to serve as the hemming allowance. I'm going to be stitching it from here to the other end, and after that I've also gone ahead to join the sleeve to the armhole area. Okay, I've gathered the sleeve to the armhole area, and I also gathered the part that went into the band, as you can see. And the next thing I'm going to do right now is to okay, so I went ahead to finish all of the rough edges. Okay, and the next thing I will do now is to go and stitch my sleeve from the sleeve down to the waistline where I have my seam allowance. Okay, I'm going to fold it, and once I'm done, I'm going to be stitching the hemming allowance. So I'll go ahead and do that just now.